Alright, here I am on the bicycle, on Wilbury, starting off going on a bike ride, and the elk are definitely coming back to town. They had left over the winter. They headed to Loveland for greener pastures, but spring is coming and here they are. Wind and the occasional snow. Talk about a road obstacle. If you look up at the mountaintops, you can tell the wind is whipping up there today. That haze you see is the snow being blown around. Brr, cold. I definitely did not dress warm enough today. Oh, it's cold. Spring is hard. Actually, we're not even in spring, it's still winter. But with this weather, it feels like spring. In the trees, out of the wind a little bit. Here I am with Wilbury. So just a quick recap. Although things are crazy here in America, life still goes on. I'm just, not going to Europe this fall, but now planning a thru hike for next year. So, quick recap. Let's see how I ended up here in Estes Park, Colorado. Really, I started off in California when I was 50. That kind of fell through. The weather was just horrible. So I came back to Colorado, regrouped. Just because one thing doesn't work out doesn't mean you just give up. You just keep going, right? So then eventually I ended up in Vermont, I think when I was 51, I think. And so let's look at the route I took from Vermont on the bicycle. Check it out. Let's take a look at the map. Let's just do a quick recap of that bigger bicycle trip I took, a year or so ago. I think when I was 51, I think I started on this. So I was in Vermont with my friend Nicole. She crossed me over Lake Champlain. I ended up in Rouse's Point, hopped on the bicycle, went up, crossed the border into Canada, went to Montreal. I ended up bicycling to Ottawa. I loved it. And then from Ottawa, I rode the bicycle all the way down to Toronto, then decided to go to Niagara Falls. So I swung around here, went to Niagara Falls, swung the bicycle back up, ended up on Bruce's Peninsula right here, crossed the Chichimon Ferry into Manitoulin Island. From Manitoulin Island, I stayed a couple days, got a tour from David, went straight back up on the bicycle, back up into Canada. Well, I mean, this is Canada, but mainland Canada. And then I came this way towards Sault Ste. Marie, crossed that massive bridge, biggest bridge of my life on the bicycle, came back stateside into Michigan, got a heads up about a job in St. Ignace, came down here, ended up working on Mackinac Island for 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. Headed back on the bicycle, came through the UP all the way towards Marquette. From Marquette, hugged Lake Superior, came all this way, let's see, towards, everyone always argues with me about Wisconsin. They'll say, there's no way you went through Wisconsin. Yes, I did. If you look at the map, Wisconsin borders Lake Superior up here. So I went into Wisconsin on the bicycle. I saw my first pine marten ever over here. That was really cool. I kept going to Duluth, crossed into Minnesota, and then from Duluth, I crossed over towards Grand Forks that way. And then once I was in Grand Forks, I ended up, this is Rugby, I ended up over here in Leeds, North Dakota. Had that accident because I had tried to take off, head down towards Florida, but I had that accident, ended up in Leeds, North Dakota for the winter. And then, in the spring, and last spring, I went on the bicycle to Montana. I ended up in Glendive. I kind of went this way, came back because of road construction, headed down to Glendive, and I decided I was just running too late because I wanted to score a job in Estes Park for the spring. So in Glendive, the lovely Laura picked me up and she drove me all the way from here, all the way down into Colorado to Estes Park. That's how I got here. So now here I am in Estes Park. I think for the time being, I'm just gonna kind of hang out here. I have a good job. It allows me to do all this wonderful hiking with some new friends, and my son is close by, and my grays, and So I think just for now I'm going to stick in Estes Park, but like I said in last week's video, I'm going to start prepping for next year. What I'm going to do is a through hike called the PNT. Like I said, my friend Amy in Montana and North Dakota, she kind of helped me come up with this idea. The Appalachian Trail, you know, people think of a through hike and people think of the Appalachian Trail or they think of the PCT. And those are wildly popular, not my jam. You know, the Appalachian Trail, I've just been up and down the East Coast so many times, and I'm scared of ticks, you know, and if you do the Appalachian Trail, from what I understand, you're just going to be covered in them. So, yeah, so, and not only that, but by doing the Pacific Northwest Trail, the PNT, I'm going to start in Montana, which is kind of where I ended up on that bicycle trip, kind of across the country. Start in Montana, end up on the West Coast, which, I mean, I don't know, I think that's cool. And my life isn't just all bicycling. It's not all being a cyclist. I love my bicycle, but I'm sure from my videos you can tell I love hiking too. And I love being out in nature. And I could finish by bicycle, but here's the thing, you know, doing a through hike is dangerous, but so is bicycling. You know, riding in all the traffic that I have. I've had a couple really near misses on the bicycle. So yeah, on the PNT, I'm going to be sleeping with grizzlies and wolves, but I think no matter how I cross the country, I feel like I'm going to be in danger to some degree. So my original plan, when I was 50, was to walk across the country anyway. So I feel like it's kind of fitting, kind of go halfway across the country on bicycle, finish the other half by foot. I'm actually kind of in love with the idea. But we also have to be realistic. You know, the reason that I didn't end up walking across the country was because of my arthritis. So we'll just see what happens. Like, I could be out there for 2 weeks, I could be out there for 2 months. It's like the surprise of the journey. Who knows what's going to happen? This is the route that I'll be taking with the Pacific Northwest Trail. Check this out on the map. I basically did half the country by bicycle, so now I would like to continue by doing that through hike. It's a little over 1,200 miles. Not sure if I can accomplish it, but if you know me, you know I'm going to try for sure. So I'm going to find someone to drive me here from Estes back up to Montana. And then I start over here somewhere in Glacier National Park. And then the path basically hugs the Canadian border. So I'm going to hike across here, across the mountains. I'm going to cross through Idaho really quick, just this panhandle part, cross into Washington, and then somehow it loops up and ends up here on the West Coast. So that is my plan. The first half of, you know, the journey was on bicycle. The second half will be on the Pacific Northwest Trail on a through hike. Oh my gosh, wish me luck. All right, so let me know what you think of the new plan. That's kind of the route that I'm going to be taking. I'm going to be doing a ton of hiking and, like I said, updating my hiking gear and definitely practicing traveling with food and cooking and bear safety and all that. So quite a few camping trips this summer. So let me know what you think, and I hope everyone stays safe in these crazy times. Get outside, stay active. Bye everybody.